How much do you need to save to reach financial freedom? If you've ever tried to figure this out, you've probably come across the 4% rule. But is it still relevant today? We're going to find out by simulating thousands of potential future outcomes for your money so you can decide, is 4% right for you? And at the end, we'll look at some alternatives to see what might work better for you, so stick around to the end. Let's go. The 4% rule says that after you're no longer working, you should be drawing down 4% of your total savings in your first year of retirement, that same amount year after year. This means you should have enough, in theory, to do all the things you love for the rest of your life without having to worry about money. The idea came up in the 1990s when technology wasn't quite where it is today. Think less AI and big data, more like Game Boys, cassette tapes, and Tetris. And the data set it's based on is actually even older. It's based on returns from the 1920s to the 1970s. Now that's really a blast from the past. So is it still relevant today? Well, let's simulate it to find out. To see how this rule came about, we are using market returns and inflation rate over 50 years, starting from when your great-grandfather was bootlegging in the Prohibition. Over this time, stocks averaged around 10%, bonds just over 3%, with inflation just under 3%. So we've entered that as custom inputs in the model. If you plan to withdraw, say, $40,000 a year, and remember that's before income tax, then according to the 4% rule, you're going to need $1 million by the time you reach retirement. With the inflation rate and market returns we're using, you could keep withdrawing this amount from, say, 55 until at least 80 to 85 years of age before you run out of money. The tool is giving us a probability of around 80% that you will preserve your money until that age, so a 4 in 5 chance. And that checks out because this method was supposed to make your money last for 30 years of retirement. This is why it works. The system gave decades of comfortable retirement, so Freedom 55 was a realistic goal for many people. But what if we use inputs based on the economic environment that we're in today? Does it still hold up? With long-term market forecasts suggesting nominal returns of around 7% for stocks and just under 4.5% for bonds, we can choose an asset allocation that fits our investing risk tolerance as well as a long-term inflation rate, let's say 3%. And right away, the tool has crunched through 5,000 simulations and is showing us our odds of not running out of money are now more like 66%. That's down from 80%, so more like a 2 in 3 chance of not running out of money. Not so good. The situation does look better if average inflation stays low. Let's try 2% in the model, and we can see our numbers are looking better, but inflation could be higher. It could be 4% or higher, in which case the numbers look quite a bit worse. What can we do about this? Well, what if we boost our investing risk tolerance? The 4% rule is actually based on a 50-50 even mix of stocks and bonds, but for most people, you'll probably want to start more towards stocks, less towards bonds, and gradually shift that balance as you get closer to your retirement age. Now, this is automatically done in the Power Tool risk tolerance profiles, and we're back at 3% inflation rate, but this time we'll go with an aggressive risk tolerance, which has more weighting towards equities. Right away, we can see the situation improve a little bit. We've jumped from a 66% chance of not running out of money up to a 73% chance. So not bad. It's getting us closer to a sustainable withdrawal rate, but we're not quite there yet. You also need to consider that more equities means more volatility. Here we're getting 7 of 25 years in the markets with negative returns, and our worst 3 years averaging negative 13%. So you'll need to have a stomach for that up and down in the market. The other thing you could do, although you may not be very happy about this, is to work longer before you retire. Let's try an example where we work an extra 5 years, up until the age of 60, which would boost our odds up to 87% of not running out of money. That's looking much better. Even if we dial back the risk from aggressive to a more balanced risk tolerance, we're still looking pretty good and with less year-to-year volatility in those returns. And of course, for those super savers out there, you could also try to cut your budget a little bit. If we go lean and cut that 4% rule down to 3.5% pre-tax, our numbers are back up again. In this case, odds are back up to 83%. Not too shabby. So what have we learned? We now know that while 4% withdrawal rate may have worked well, reliably, and consistently in the past, investors today may need to be more flexible in their retirement planning. It may be time for a refresh strategy that's not based on what happened last century. Now, in the mid-2020s, with a different economic outlook, you'll want to consider the things we talked about, like taking on more risk and volatility, or working longer until retirement, or simply spending less. Does this seem realistic to you? Drop a comment with your take on the 4% rule, and if you'd like to see some real examples of sustainable withdrawal rates within retirement, then check out Your Retirement Plan Revealed. The playlist link is right up here. If you've still got questions, then reach out. I'll do my best to answer, and all the power tools and resources are on the website link in the description down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so I can keep helping you make investing easy. We will see you next time.